Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your midday/closing bell market report for Monday, October 3rd, 2022. It's been a few days since we've had a show. Full disclosure, kind of in between. I have the studio set up locally. In the process of getting our own studio office and retail setting locally in Centerville, as mass is legal. We were been proactive since January 1st, 2015. I'd like to say the leaders here, especially in the state of Massachusetts, and now we're gonna have our own huge place. We're excited. So I've been back and forth. It hasn't been Riley. It's been me saying, hey, take a day off, take a night off. I reached out to Scott Webb today, left a voicemail, hoping all is well. I know because of his other job, he's into the fire there. So hoping all is well to hear back from Scotty. Full weekend to catch up with Riley. Full disclosure here. A weekend the ECSI VIPs want to forget. Friday, 3-1 night. Our only loss was the Mets with DeGrom. We went 3-0 in college football. Saturday, we opened up the playbook and part of the business. We went 1-5. Yes, 1-5. Our only winner was Nebraska team total over 33. They get there. Our field goal kickers can't script this. 1-9 for the day on the teams that we had, and the Iowa State one alone missed 3, which cost us a game there. We had the over Maryland, Michigan State, 21 points scored in the first quarter. A couple missed field goals there. Maryland first and goal from the 1.5 yard line. Couldn't score. Zip. So we lose there. The DOA was Coastal Carolina team total over. Played grab ass for 3 quarters and then, of course, put up like 28-29 in the fourth, but it came up short there. So, and then Sunday, again, what we do on Sunday, very simply, whether we're up 5 units, down 5 units, we went into Sunday 6-7 for the week, even after a 1-5 Friday. 1-5 Saturday, we were 6-7 going into Sunday. Sprinkle a little action parlay, and as Saturday went, Sunday went. The reverse sweep. The Brownies lose in Atlanta, and let me tell you, I knew at halftime it was 10-10 at halftime. Second half line, Atlanta minus a hook. I turned to my buddies at the watching the games with me. Oh, Falcons win, parlay dead. Our dog of the day was the Commanders, and something just stumped the whole time. And again, right there, the whole first half, and then the defense and Wentz, and the rest was history there. And then our last game again, Father Time, couple quick turnovers. Kansas City, thanks for playing there. So it's done. The week's over. I woke up this morning, my feet hit the ground. That means I got an opportunity. I got a chance today. I got 24 hours to make a difference. So with that said, let's bring in someone that, congrats, you got the win, but you were very little fortunate. I guess Dubs or Romeo or Dubes, whatever you want to call him, could have shut the door in regular time. But it is what it is. A win's a win in the NFL. What's the NFL stand for? Ask Mr. Lucky. Not for long. It doesn't matter if you have a 10 or a 20-point lead. As long as you get the W, and as Bill Belichick says, we're on to Cincinnati. That's what we do here. So without further ado, let's bring him in. The one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Happy Monday, my friend. Yeah, I don't even know where to start, but yeah, well, I guess as far as the Packers are concerned, you said it. I'm feeling lucky to have avoided an ugly loss in that one, but still stuff to clean up, but I don't think there's anything that's unfixable with the Packers for the most part. Some head scratching stuff still for to some degree, obviously. But yeah, you know what? A win is a win, and we'll take it there. Obviously, with Bill Belichick and the defense, and the Patriots defense had some interesting looks to throw at the Packers. I think had this been a do or die game, I think the offensive play calling might have been a little different. But kind of as I talked to you going ahead of this game and ahead of the next few games, kind of a feeling out process and a good opportunity to get everyone situated. Because, I mean, Aaron Jones was ripping off about 7-8 yards a clip, and it felt like the Patriots weren't going to stop him. And yet, the Packers get the ball late in the fourth quarter and throw 3 straight times, and it was a little head-scratching there. So, all in all, Christian Watson gets a nice touchdown. Dobbs had 1, should have had the 2, like you mentioned. So, things to be optimistic about for sure. I mean, the defensive approach against Zappy and the Patriots offense was a little bizarre, conservative. The Patriots, I mean, there was a couple drives where they basically told us they were running the ball and we couldn't do anything about it. So that was a little head scratching. But all in all, it was a weird weekend. I'm kind of thanking my lucky stars. I actually made out positive in college football barely and in NFL just barely. So and there was a couple that definitely shouldn't have gone my way. A couple that went the other way that I'm still kicking myself about. So I'm happy to be alive on Monday as well, and happy to be just barely in the green. Although there's a few that I'd like back, but nonetheless, I'm ready for a new week. Next week's an interesting one for the NFL as well. We've got something to talk about tonight, and obviously MLB playoffs coming up next week. So I am absolutely jazzed as well. So I am ready to take this wherever you'd like to, my friend.
Don't forget the Robert Tonyan anytime touchdown.
There you go. You had that one as well. I didn't realize you had that one. I've got him on one of my fantasy teams, and I didn't have any action on him in the game. Honestly, the thing that kept me from having a really nice Sunday in NFL betting, and it was my first negative week as far as my Packers bets. I do the Packers blog every single week. I had second quarter spread for the Packers, which I don't typically do, but this one was it was working out, and then the pick 6 at the end of the half busted me, and probably would have had a nice unit and a half positive day, but then that one got me the other way, and I was barely just scraping some pennies home. So again, always happy to go green, but that one was my worst loss of the weekend for sure. But yeah, we'll get it back going forward here.
I have Ron on from Ron A Sports that put together our NFL. He put together the NFL Bettors Guide, and 2 weeks ago or 2.5 weeks ago on the tweet, I tweeted out, can we just get it over with and have Georgia Tech face off against Colorado? And then someone sarcastically said, yeah, and the winner plays Nebraska. Well, 2 weeks later, a week later, the Georgia Tech coach is fired. Yesterday, the Colorado coach is fired. And then out of nowhere, the Wisconsin coach is fired. Thoughts?
And it's pretty fitting that I've got my Illinois Fighting Illini hat. You know what? If you had asked me if that didn't happen, I actually probably would have obviously, this is easy to say after he just got fired. It did feel like it was trending towards, if things kept going that way, that he was – I actually, gun to my head, I would have suggested that at the end of this year he would have been gone. But it is surprising that it is happening at this point here. And it seems like some of these college programs are kind of – you have, obviously with their former coach – coming in and not only beating them but kicking their ass from start to finish obviously doesn't help and probably pushes the envelope a little bit there. But some of these coaches or some of these programs, around the country kind of seem that spot where it's like we could let them go a little bit longer, but it's almost as if they're worried that they'll turn it back around and have like an 8-4 season or something like that, enough to keep their job and then kind of have them sticking around, which I think was a valid thing here. And a lot of people are citing all of his records the past few years, and I get that. But I think it's hard to argue that this wasn't trending in the wrong direction, both from an on-the-field, recruiting, all above. You put him in there. Is there a fear that kind of what, all due respect, happened in Nebraska is going to be the same thing that happens there? For sure. And if that's what your concern is, then absolutely that's a valid concern. But I mean, the program was not. It was in a better spot with Brett Bielema at the helm. And if you feel like you can find a better replacement for Paul Chryst, across the board, then I guess you got to do it. But I was surprised that it did happen. Whatever, I mean, 5 weeks into the season, whatever it is, as opposed to the end of the season. They're typically not someone that does that, both basketball or football for the most part. I saw someone. It's been a really long time in either sport that they've fired someone mid-season, unless I had some wrong information there. But nonetheless, definitely surprising. And at the same time, still a salvageable season as far as at least the Big Ten West is concerned for Wisconsin. So interested to see how things are going to go ahead for the Big Ten West, obviously, and especially Wisconsin there.
It's so hard in these big conferences when you think about it. Okay, we talk about Georgia and Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia was 28-point favorites at Mizzou and was trailing most of that game. That would have been obviously the upset of the year.
Right.
I look at the Big Ten this year, like you and all our colleagues, and it's Ohio State and a big gap. Now, listen, this team, Penn State and Michigan are playing well. So on a neutral field, what will the spread be? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, when you're competing year after year, it's such an uphill battle. Listen, Coach Alvarez, Ron Dane, Russell Wilson, you know what? The list is endless. And you know what? You always have the fallback. Hey, we didn't make the Final Four, but we made it to the Rose Bowl.
Right.
Which is a great, great year. And I almost want to. It's a no-win situation for so many of these schools. That's, I guess, where I'm going at.
Yeah. No, totally. And I guess the one thing that I would say, as far as if we're talking about Wisconsin specifically, had the the 12-team playoff is coming up, I think you might have to look at yourself in the mirror with Paul Chryst as your coach and saying, how likely is there chance? I mean, if in our best year, could we make that 12-team playoff? For sure. But the heights of our program, if you go back to Brett Bielema, you're right. They didn't make the top 4 or the top 2, whatever it was, but they made the Rose Bowl. If the 12-team playoff was around when Brett Bielema was around, they would have made that 12-team playoff, every other year, or if not better than that. So it's dangerous when you fire a guy that's keeping you very competitive, obviously, and you can go far through the opposite direction. And it wouldn't surprise me in 5 years if they're kicking themselves and they've had a rough 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's almost probably likely. But I guess if you're greedy and you want to get back to where you were a little more consistently with the former, and now him coming into the Big Ten and appears seemingly building something else in your neighbors to the south, then I can understand the sense of urgency. But I mean, the odds aren't in their favor. But as a Big Ten guy and someone who enjoys watching Wisconsin football when they're at their best, I hope it works out for them. But I was definitely surprised to see him do it this early in the season, though. That was really surprising.
I always bring up Nebraska, the Frank Solich years, 8-3. And what it do? It got you to a bowl game. You weren't the elite that you want to. So you have to decide at what price are you going to pay? I was just going to tongue in cheek say, would they even make the phone call to Urban? I mean, any big program that opens up, that's the first name that comes to me.
Right, and it's like basically the way that you posed it is a fair way to pose it. You have to stop and think, and I think the answer is Wisconsin. That's typically not their MO, or that type of hire isn't their MO. So I would be surprised, but there's football team. We talked about it with Nebraska. There are teams, whether it's college or NFL, that go to, obviously there's current situations. There's teams that'll go through far worse PR hits than an Urban Meyer PR hit if it's going to mean success. So if you're Urban Meyer, would you rather go to Wisconsin or Nebraska?
I'd wait and see who else is out there.
Yeah, no, totally, 100%. And I mean, I guess the way they're set up right now, I mean, Wisconsin's closer probably than Nebraska is. That would be where I'd say with that. But, at the end of the day, maybe they're not glamorous enough for him. Maybe that's not enough to get him out of bed. I don't know. But, there's some other guys that I'm sure would be chomping at the bit for a Wisconsin job.
I'll give you a team. It's getting close, real close. How about Texas A&M?
Yeah, as
SEC?
far as Yeah, that would be. I mean, if that one opens up, that would jump straight to the top of the list without a doubt. I mean, that one's far ahead of the Nebraska and Wisconsin. It would skyrocket past that. So, do you think that's even? I guess the question is, do they move on from Jimbo if that's the option, or maybe they don't move on from Jimbo if there's no other. I mean, if Urban Meyer's off the table, maybe they don't. But if he's on the table, maybe they do.
I think the writing's on the wall. I mean, they owe him a boatload of money. I don't
Yeah.
know, like the LSU guy there, the big O. Hey,
Yeah.
you're owed 17 million. Here's your check. Okay, which
Yeah.
door do you want me to leave now?
Well, credit to Paul Christ. I think it was close to 7. It was 16 something as far as his buyout. So, and I mean, I obviously I'm not a Wisconsin fan. I'm a Illinois fan. Don't claim to be a diehard. So it was an awesome win there. My older brother went to Illinois. But being a Packers fan, I follow a lot of Wisconsin, affiliated people as well. But they were comparing Paul Christ this year to 2018 Mike McCarthy, both from obviously from a looks standpoint, but also from on the field, just the organization or program, whatever you want to call it, just going stale. And I think it was a fair comparison. So credit to what he did the past few years. But yeah, it's they're moving on, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes and beyond.
MLB. Everything basically, the stage is most likely all set unless a miracle here and there. Over the weekend, listen, 10 and a half games back. And I looked back and they had like that 27 and 29 record. It reminded me of the Nationals so much. And I was on this show numerous times. Is it time to buy in? Is it time to buy in? Is it time to take your swing? And everyone looked at me like I had three heads. Mets had DeGrom and Max lined up. You needed at least one. You figured Friday night was the one. Listen, I know it was Fried, but you set the stage. You get DeGrom the win. You get that 2-game lead. At worst case, you leave Atlanta tied. You get swept. Now you're looking at the potential of a 3-game set versus the Padres. And if you prevail, the Dodgers are just sitting there, in the sauna getting ready for a 7-game series.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely the chips are not falling as you would like. So yeah, I like their chances against San Diego in that series for sure. But yeah, in a series against the Dodgers, who knows what the heck could happen there? So I mean, you really are relying on those guys to be the not just ace level, but Hall of Fame level stuff if you want to get through that test of Padres, Dodgers, and then after that, Braves or Cardinals probably after that. So. It's not going to be easy. So, yeah, they're taking the hard way, but I still like their chances. But, yeah, the path is definitely harder than it should have been for sure.
NFL tonight, Rams and 49ers. I see some San Fran opened at 2. I see ones. It was 1.5. It got pushed to 2. Now 2.5 in some spots. The consensus is 2 with the 42. I can't get off this, and I'm hoping you can help me here. I know what this line has always been: Rams 1.5. Is it more the Niners coming off the loss and Jimmy G is back, knowing the success that Shanahan has had against McVay in the regular season? Super Bowl hangover, Rams just being the Rams. Really, it's Cooper Kupp and a cloud of dust. They can't run the ball. Shanahan has had so much success in slowing down Mr. Donald.
Right.
We've had a week to talk about this.
Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of what you're saying is kind of what I'm thinking for the most part. And I guess the one thing as far as not really seeing much of anything impressive from the Rams either. You mentioned it. Cooper Kupp's looking solid. They played around with the Falcons. The Falcons almost came back and beat them in that game. The Cardinals are winning games as well, but kind of an underwhelming performance last week against the Cardinals as well. And then for me personally, line aside, the first thing that I see when I see that matchup is just Shanahan versus McVay during this time period is the success of Shanahan, aside from NFC Championship game last year. So that's kind of where my heart leads me to for the most part there. I'm not going too deep into this one. I've got a small little sprinkle. I'm going for the Niners going the Niners on the -1.5. But yeah, it's a pizza and beer money game for me for the most part, if to use your term there. But that's really where I'm at. The Niners probably haven't played their best football yet either. Now you get some more time with Jimmy G, familiar opponent, and so that would be where, if I'm using any crutch, it's the Shanahan versus McVay situation, and the Rams really not having impressed me much at all, and I think that's going to change. Much like a few of these teams in the NFC, kind of coasting through the first few weeks. Rams lose this game, not the end of the world. Either side, not quite the end of the world, but yeah, I'm leaning on the Shanahan versus McVay crutch a little bit on this one. I think it'll be a close, tough, scrappy game, but yeah, it's not anything super confident for me, but I lean Niners in this one over here.
I didn't ask you. I'll ask you now. Good, bad, ugly. What surprised you yesterday in the NFL? And we're basically a month in. Surprises, busts. I mean, not even in the fantasy. The fantasy world's so comical because
Yeah.
there are so many injuries. We learned today Javonte Williams done for the year. There, it'll be Melvin Gordon, and you can go on your waiver wire and pick up Boone. Now, what's his name? Cordarell is out for a month, so the Algiers of the world pop in. Kamara pulls a Kamara, and I asked this question yesterday, and everyone looked at me like I had 10 heads. I think there's a problem in New Orleans. I don't find it coincidental that Michael Thomas and Kamara both take the week off again. They took the week off the week prior to that. I do think they're both diva-esque. I think that whole offense was changing before Breeze left, before Coach Payton left. Very fortunate to get out of London with the, I know it was a loss, the double doink from downtown.
Yeah.
It was one of those games that you and I both know like this. NBA, Celtics -4 against your Bulls, and then all of a sudden, Tatum and Walker both out, and everyone runs to the window to get the Bull money. Come on, the Bulls are charging. And I mean, no Thomas, no Kamara, no Winston. They close at 4, it lands on 3, and they had a good chance of winning that game outright.
Right, and I think you give a little bit of credit to Andy. I had horrible thoughts about him and bet against him in many spots last year when he was with the or at the end of the season. He was with the Giants, right, at the end of the season, No, I'm thinking of Mike Glennon. I'm sorry. He was with Chicago. Either way, he was very bad the last couple of years. I'm losing my mind. Too many similar guys. But credit to him, he played well yesterday. So I messed up my history there. And, Chris Olave looks really, really good as well. That's a fantastic move right there. And their defense, I think, is still talented enough to keep them in games and really keep them one big play away from potentially stealing a game or stealing a cover. And obviously credit to the 60-yard bomb to get them there, and then, almost another one there. So it's still a scrappy team. Maybe if these losses keep rolling in, it's going to be a tough team to bet on. When Jameis Winston is starting, they're almost on my no bet list either way for the most part because he's just so erratic. You don't know if you're going to get the terrible Jameis Winston or the unbelievable Jameis Winston. Even if you love their defense and you think you might be able to take the team total under, Jameis might throw 3 picks and a couple pick sixes and put you in danger of losing the under team total on the other side because of how bad he is. So without him or with him, he's kind of that Saints team is kind of on my no bet list. But if Andy Dalton's still there, maybe we can find some footing. But it's the NFC South looking a little more winnable than we thought at the beginning of the season, but the Saints at 1-3, it's kind of a hole that it's going to be tough to dig out of there for the most part there. So, credit to the Vikings. Usually in the past few years with Zimmer, they lose these type of games for the most part. So I guess credit to them for getting this one done. But and at the end of the day, anything can happen whenever teams go over to London. So you can always use that excuse if you're either of these teams. But it's going to be interesting. Vikings 3-1, they'll be fine. Saints will probably have some scrappy wins and maybe an upset or two, but probably not a playoff team from my perspective at this point here.
Matt Rule.
I mean, the rumor that we heard there, it doesn't sound good. I mean, would you I guess I'll ask this. Do you think he might try and use a, bench Baker, throw him under the bus, throw a few, last stand coaching tricks up his sleeve as far as not trying to get fired? Maybe switch it. I know Darnold's not quite ready, so I don't know what their option would be. But Baker Mayfield looks terrible right now. So I don't know. It doesn't look good. Their defense, their defense has a lot of strong pieces. So I think, again, in an NFC South that's looking a little more winnable than we thought, maybe they make that move sooner rather than later and hopefully find a guy that can rally these guys together. Because, like I said, last year through the first few weeks and now this year for the first few weeks, their defense is scrappy and is flying around at times and looks like they might be a decent unit if they can stay healthy. So I don't know. I if it hasn't happened yet, then I don't think it's happening this week. I don't know if there's. I haven't looked at their schedule, but it could be coming up soon. If things keep going like this, you have to imagine it's coming soon.
I think he was the favorite to be the first one. I mean, Kingsbury's won now. I talked at length about this, by the way.
Yeah.
Arizona 2-0 on the road, 0-2 at home. They play a lot better at home. On the road than they do home. Someone put up a stat that under Rule, he is now 0-24 when they score more than 17 points a game.
Yeah. It's just rough. And I'm looking at the next few now. Niners at home, Rams, Bucks, and Falcons. So 4 massive games, but 4 games you could absolutely see them losing, or at best maybe 1-3, and that's all in October. So it's probably safe to say he might be gone by month's end, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to maybe – I think you want him to take his lumps. I mean, if he was a part of bringing Baker over, he can't go to Darnold when Darnold's ready.
Yeah.
Maybe you let him sit in his shit for 3 weeks and lose those 3 games, and then you fire him and the interim coach gets Atlanta and, see what happens.
Yeah, no, maybe. And I mean, even you and I were talking as far as preseason, the skirmish they had in practice. They had at least one yesterday where, it looked like that team that's just, I mean, they've got a lot of fire. So if you can get the right guy in to harness that energy, then maybe it'll be good for their defense. But, Baker looks brutally bad right now, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And especially not in these next 3 weeks. So I'm trying to think anything else. The Cardinals, again, still kind of underwhelming, but they kind of keep getting the benefit of hitting teams when they're not playing their best either. So definitely going to save Cliff Kingsbury. Easy to say Kingsbury there when you're jamming them there together, I guess. But I think he's probably buying himself some time. But the Jets and the Steelers, the quarterback change there for the Steelers mid-game, we kind of thought that was a little, we were thinking that might wait a little bit there, but he did bring some fire, obviously through the picks, but he had him, I think he was 10 for 13 with, no balls hitting the ground, a couple of rushing touchdowns. So credit to Zach Wilson on the other side. He, at least off of an injury, coming in and getting that win is huge for them. Bears and Giants, interesting approach there. I mean, the Giants, if they feel like they can run all over you, they'll just do it until the game hits 0. And if they're winning, they're winning. If not, they're not. But he obviously got hurt mid-game, but pretty obvious that he's not the guy at this point. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they go to Tyrod, he's got some fire in him as well. So trying to think if there's any other big takeaways. I know you were Raiders and Broncos. As bad as the Raiders looked at certain times, I mean the Hackett pitchfork and axe parade is growing by the day over there, and so I don't know. Do you foresee in his first year with Russell Wilson do you foresee them with all this noise coming at him to make a move in year 1, or do you think they let things progress a little bit there in Denver?
1 month in, and I know Hackett has a lot of egg on his face, and then he hires someone to do the clock management.
Yeah.
There was a play that he was talking to the refs for like 5 minutes. He looked like someone sitting on the throne that was constipated. He didn't know what he just like, his facial expression. And Elway's got to be saying, what in the hell do I have to do here? And actually, I think Elway has now stepped down, or they moved him to somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But in 1 month assessment, as much as we want to throw Hackett under the bus, as much as I thought you'd see a coming out party for Russ, man, he looks bad. Russ looks bad.
Yeah, and he was playing probably I think it was first half, probably the best he's looked since he's been there. Not to say that it was fantastic by any means, but yeah, no, that's definitely a concern as well. So I mean, yeah, you obviously let him marinate a little bit there, and I think are they Thursday? Yeah, they're Thursday night at home against the Colts this week, and they're favored unless I'm looking at the wrong information. I think they're -3.5 this week at home. So. Any thoughts on that one? Tennessee and Indy. Another. I mean, division and the season is still wide open as far as that division going forward. But still feeling okay about the Colts? Feeling worse about them now after that? Fourth game now?
Jonathan Taylor, high ankle sprain. Two things in football you don't want to hear: high ankle sprain and toe turf. Other than the
Yep.
ACLs and all that other stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But you got an early game in the week. Okay, short rest. No Jonathan Taylor, no Javonte Williams. A Colts team that Matt Ryan we should go back to that old movie, Saving Ryan or whatever
Private
that.
Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, all the Michael Pittman owners out there. All it was. Hey, I was a week off. It was the Mo Alley Cox game.
You're right. I know. 2 touchdowns. I know. I mean, I wonder what the odds for 2 touchdown score would have been. I don't know, man. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is some. I think the Colts will look better going forward. But I mean, we do this thing every year. I don't want to lump you in. I don't know what your thoughts about this team has been. But the general public does this thing with Tennessee every single year where 2-3 points of the year we put them so underrated, and Mike Vrabel does such a damn good job. And on the flip side, come playoff time and a couple points during the season, we sometimes overrate them for sure. But whenever I had them yesterday against the Colts here, at least on the spread, or I had them on the spread, at least thinking they would cover that spread there. So, I mean, the Titans are going to keep scrapping. They look okay. They look fine. As far as that division's concerned, I have no reason to believe they can't be, right there, if not the favorite at this point. So, I think the Colts will be better, but it obviously hasn't been where they want it to be.
No, and I thought when I assessed the opening lines early in the week, that one stuck out to me. I was like, oh, that's a Tennessee number. Like I said, the Commanders, I said that looked like a Commander number, and Dallas prevailed there. Hats off to Alice Cooper Rush, another win. Now Dak says, I got the stitches out, coach. I'm getting close. And then if I was Mike, I'd be like, go do your shimmy somewhere else.
Yeah.
We're all set for now. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Cooper Rush is definitely doing a good job. If it's not the Cowboys paying him, somebody's maybe not to be a high-paid starter, but he's at least earning himself some more money there, right? So credit to their defense. I mean, the jury's still out on what this Washington team's going to be like week to week. I mean, I think there's going to be some games where Washington looks a lot better and Carson Wentz looks a lot better, but this Dallas defense, I didn't get it. This was one of the ones, it wasn't that close of a game. So this one in the noon slot, I didn't have a ton of eyes on it. I'll probably go back and watch that one this week, honestly. But credit to the way their defense is playing. It was, obviously Carson Wentz is not playing very well there. So and the Washington defense obviously isn't looking great either. Let's see. There was one more. I mean, the Sunday night game, Chiefs and Bucks. Bucks obviously, the situation that's going on, with the hurricane obviously is prevalent. But do you put that win more? Do you like that as far as that looks good on the Chiefs, or is that more of a concern for the Bucks as far as the win last night, 41-31? More about the Chiefs or more about the Bucks in that one?
The 2 turnovers, one right off the bat, and then the one with Brady, number 1, put them behind the 8 ball. You get that Kansas City offense going, coming off a loss.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it was changing of the guard because Tom got the last laugh in that Super Bowl there against Pat a few years ago. You know what? I just got to say this. I just don't think there's so much going on, I think, on the Bucks team, injury-wise. Godwin comes back. He gets hurt again. Evans is back off the suspension. Tom, listen, we've been waiting for him to drop off. Now, I'm not saying he's dropping off. But when he came over there was a buzz, and there was like, holy shit. And they struggled early. They were 1 game over 500. They had their bye week, and then they sheeted the last 7, and then they go and win all 3 games, and they win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Can he turn it around? Yeah, he's done it before. But
Yeah.
for me, my take, they're light years behind what that Kansas City offense looked like. And number two, you won your games this year on defense. And was Kansas City that good yesterday, or was it just? I mean, you go back to the two wins that Bucks had at Dallas and at the Saints. So two
Yeah.
teams that offensively a little slow out of the gates.
Right, and you could absolutely say, going back to the Jameis Winston conversation, if Andy Dalton plays in that game, maybe the ceiling for New Orleans is best with Jameis Winston. I don't know when he's healthy, but you put Andy Dalton in that game, and maybe he's not throwing 3 picks. That maybe the Saints win that game. Their defense played fantastic in that one. I have had an issue with. I had the Chiefs the other last night because I'm just so concerned about what I've seen with the Bucks right now. Again, I think them. In the NFC, my honestly take is the Packers, Rams, and Bucks all are still trying to get where they need to be. I think at least 2 of those 3 teams are going to end up looking really good by the end of the season, and maybe one will probably still be a playoff team, but maybe not quite reach that pinnacle, or maybe not pinnacle, but where they'd like to be. But those 3 teams offensively, at least, just haven't been firing on all cylinders. Obviously, for various reasons, right, reasonably so. And I think the Bucks should figure it out. But if they can't get some health back there, then I don't know that they'll figure it out offensively. And you're right. So they can only win so many games or keep themselves in games defensively so many times. So luckily, again, it's a winnable division regardless of who you are. So that obviously allows them to kind of like the Packers find their footing here over the next handful of weeks. So I do think they'll probably be fine. But at this point, I've been betting against them for the most part right now, and until further notice. I shouldn't say that unequivocally, but to some degree, I'm betting against them until I see signs of improvement from them offensively right now.
You buying or selling the Eagles?
I think they're really good. It does feel like kind of how I'm saying. I was thinking about this earlier. It kind of feels like they're the flavor of the first chunk of the season. I think they'll win this division. I think they'll be there. I'm not saying they're going to fall flat on their face by any means. But at the same time, I kind of, as I was talking about with those 3 teams in the NFC, if any of those 2 or 3 teams starts to get rolling, then you'll start to see the gap close as far as the top of the NFC. So I'm buying what I'm seeing right now, but it does concern me that they're potentially peaking at the beginning of the season as opposed to where they'd like to be. So maybe I'm not giving enough credit. I don't know, but they've looked fantastic. Especially coming back from 14-0 this yesterday. So, not sure. I'm trying to see who they got next week, but either way, I mean they've got a pretty favorable schedule. So you'd be shocked to not see them in the playoffs the way they're looking right now at 4-0. So I do like what I'm seeing there.
Let me just see one thing for you. See if I can find it. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they take care of the Giants in Washington, they should have no problem, right?
5-point favorites at Arizona.
Yeah, and the way that's looking right now, I don't know. I could see the Eagles going in there if they keep doing what they're doing and smack Arizona around a little bit, unless Arizona can turn things around. But they've still got 2 more weeks without DeAndre Hopkins, I think, who we've seen when he's there, they're a much, much better team. And, I don't know. I don't want to – I mean, he's still very young, but I grow more annoyed with, the type of person that Kyler Murray is on a day-to-day basis, honestly. I'm not a fan. I'm very much a fan of watching him, but he seems like a very entitled young 20-year-old kid that I'm seeing. Regardless of the contract things – just some of the, and honestly, I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is the best coach, so maybe he's not completely out of his realm. But I don't know. I don't think he's a very good teammate, if you ask me. Maybe that's a terrible speculation from my perspective or where I'm sitting over here in Chicago. But I've not been a huge fan of him from a personality standpoint.
MLB slate. You don't have to go through the whole board, obviously. Looking at the slate now, I mean, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15 games, a handful, pick the meaningful games. I mean, there's not a lot out there. I mean, is Vegas letting us in anywhere that there is actually some meaning?
Yeah, let's pick through it a little bit here. I mean, I'll go chronologically for a second here, and if you got something on any of these games that don't mean anything, you can stop me. Kansas City and Cleveland. Cleveland cannot change their standing any bit right here. They've been playing well here through the last few days. Anything to see there as far as that game? Are you moving right along there?
They won the debate. Okay, so I just had to look for a second, though. Actually, they'll be playing, though. They'll be playing. So this is let me see. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Sunday. Okay, so this is kind of a dress rehearsal for Sticks. Get us 4 or 5 and get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah. As of right now, I'm looking at ESPN's schedule. They've got a couple teams locked in that I think are locked in their position. They've got Cleveland playing on Friday, who I think would be, barring something crazy, I think it's Tampa Bay that they would get there. So Cardinals and Pirates, similar situation. They've got Cardinals slotted for Friday. I know they're most likely going to get the Phillies, I believe, right? Cardinals and Phillies is the most likely spot there. Let's see, Braves and Marlins. I mean, you mentioned it. Unless I think the Braves have to sweep the Mets have to sweep and the Braves have to get swept for the Mets to retake that division. Braves minus 160, I think it is here in Miami. Luzardo's been tough at certain spots. Any interest in Miami in that spot, or are you staying away there?
You would want to say this is the perfect letdown spot. Perfect. Yeah. But I don't know if this is, I don't know a lot about Elder. Do we go way back to what worked in the during the summer? Both teams traveled. So the Mets are supposed to lose tonight and Atlanta coming off to it. You know what? If you wanted to sprinkle some pizza and beer on the Marlins today, I could see it. I could see the letdown.
I think I'm with you. I think it's worth a tiny little sprinkle because I don't know what he did last time out, but I've been enjoying some of these Luzardo starts. He's been good the last 3, no more than 2 earned runs, so maybe that's a reason to maybe stay away. Maybe he's due for some regression, but he's been pretty damn good. So again, they've got a nice rotation with no offense. So I don't know. Maybe this Marlins team, you just always hesitate when you're about to put it in, and it's like, the Marlins really? Are they going to score more than 2 runs? But yeah, if I'm going anywhere, I'd be going Marlins in that one. Cubs and Reds, both those teams are dead. You got Hunter Green for the Reds. Anything to see with those 2 games or 2 teams? I mean,
Hunter been okay of late. Again, I think I said his last start, first 5, and I think it was tied. I get a little soft spot for him. Kind of surprising that they're favored over the Cubs, but again, there's no reason to dive in there.
Yeah. Blue Jays and Orioles. Let's double check this. I know obviously the Orioles are toast. Toronto's got the top wild card spot. I guess technically, if something drastic happens, Seattle can technically overtake them for that top spot, but it's very unlikely, obviously. So anything to see out of this one? Berrios versus Dean Kramer for the Baltimore Orioles. Berrios last 2, 6 and 5 earned runs allowed. Are you feeling good about a Berrios bounce back, or maybe staying away from the Blue Jays here?
You talked, I think it was last Monday or Tuesday, about Kramer and how well he was done, and I think the Red Sox got him there. I like the O's in a spoiler tonight.
Okay. No, Kramer wasn't terrible last time out, but that was good. I think it was one of our good spots for the Red Sox. The Red Sox did win. 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 home runs allowed for him last time out. So, Blue Jays get the wild card. They're comfortable. So maybe this is a good letdown spot there. Go ahead.
Can you pull up the lineup? Can you give me any lefties on the Orioles?
Let's see here. Lefties for the Orioles. Let's see. Who are?
I'm going to go right there. Rashman. I'm going to go Rashman with the home.
Rashman. All right, he is. Is that? Am I reading that right? He's a switch hitter. Obviously, he's 6 for 9 lifetime against Berrios. So that is a decent little pull right there. Mullins also a lefty to lead off. He's 5 for 19 lifetime off of Berrios there. Santander's a switch hitter. So might be a decent night for the old O's offense there. I like the Rashman play though. 6 for 9 lifetime. You always got my interest there when it's that type of ownership. So. Yankees at the Rangers. Aaron Judge still looking for number 62. Yankees minus 155. Is this I feel good that this might be a trap spot for the Yankees. This one, these games are still, or a little concerned that these games are a little too, head games as far as these line movements maybe, and, maybe just avoid that altogether.
It's a lefty. It's Martin. I think the Yankees as a whole would just feel a lot better if they could just get one more from Judge and just move on. I have no idea what's he probably at around plus 150 today.
I'm not sure. I'll check in a second. He is 1 for 9 lifetime against Perez with 3 Ks. So it has not been his best spot against Perez there. I'm trying to pull up his home run odds. Let's see. I would. What was your guess?
Well, I know he's usually around that 170 mark, but he's probably lower tonight. 155.
265. 265 on FanDuel. I think they're buying in. They're trying to bait you with the 1 for 9 against Perez there. I think it's just a tough matchup for him. And let's see. I'm going to double check the pricing on DraftKings. 230. So still 230, still over 2-1. But I'll take I'll keep my money tonight for Aaron Judge there. Let's see. Next game up. Let's see. Nationals and Mets. Mets, it is a travel spot. Is this a spot where they're going to win 20-0 because they're pissed off about what just happened, or is this maybe an ugly spot again here with them with the travel out of Atlanta last night?
You're supposed to fade them. You're almost to the point you'd hate to win the first two. Well, actually, the magic number for the Braves is 1. So, all hands on deck for. I don't know at this point. Yeah. Listen, when you're set up to at worst, win 1, maybe 2, and go over, I think the morale's got to be low. And I almost want to say the morale's like, all right, we'll be hosting the Padres. No, they will be hosting, right?
Yes. Yep. They'll be the top wild card. Yeah.
Yeah. So the morale's got to be low. Do they got one more for the Gipper? I don't know. But this used to be a fade. It was the travel spot. So
right. Yeah, I'm just looking. They've got Carlos Carrasco tonight, Walker tomorrow, and then undecided on Wednesday. And then they've got nothing listed as far as where that. Because I think technically, if they are locked into that spot, I think there's still. San Diego and Philly are 1 game apart, so it's still probably going to be San Diego. But I guess it's not crazy that San Diego and Philly could flip there. So maybe that affects those two teams. Maybe it has nothing to do with the Mets there, but. Rays and Red Sox next one up. Rays got the last spot locked down right now. Mariners have 4 games left, I know. Again, I don't know who has the tiebreaker, but, if something, I wouldn't say a miracle, but Rays and Mariners still could flip. Not likely, but it is still possible. Glasnow for the Rays. This is start number 2 for him. He was 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run last time out. Staying away, probably only going 5 innings for Glasnow, or are you feeling good about anything either which way here?
Could be Rich Hill's last official start. I know Cora was raving him after his last start, how well he pitched for them this year. To be successful in baseball, you need guys just to go out and get you innings and right. To save your bullpen, and Rich Hill has done that. If I had to dive into this game, I'd look for a Glasnow first 5, try to get in and get out. Again, they're trying to get him into form for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Swan song for Rich Hill. It is what, it sucks. Listen, you got a couple more weeks than I did, but the writing was on the wall for a while for me. There's nothing better than, sitting back this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and watching and being a part of the dance. Now, last year, the Red Sox had the play-in game against the Yankees. They beat them. Then they had to travel and face the Rays. They beat them. They had a 2-1 game lead against the Astros. We were 2 games away from the damn World Series.
Yep. Yeah, you want to rant and rave. I got to hear Bob Nightingale tell me that Tony La Russa, nobody else would have changed the White Sox season other than the way it's gone. So I've got to live through those type of headlines these last couple of days. But yeah, it'll be the same length of off season for the both of us here, starting in a couple days, my friend. But I think a couple more games, and we'll talk about my White Sox in a second here. But Diamondbacks and Brewers. Brewers, I mean, if you're the Brewers, you're telling yourself we have to win these next 3 games. That's our only chance. So, whether or not they actually believe that, I don't know. Woodruff on the mound for them, pretty hefty line. Any way to get into this one? You think they've got it in them as far as winning tonight and maybe even a couple more, or you think this is potentially a spot to fade them in a couple times here?
I think I had Woodruff his last 2 spots, and I think I got X's still next to him. I don't even think the ink's dried yet. And I mean, this bastard got me not once but twice. Am I going for the banana and the tailpipe here? I can tell everyone, listen, take the Brewers first 5 minus the hook, take the Brewers full game run line, and it's 0-0 after 5, and they win 1-0 on the pass ball. I'm done with them. Done.
Yep. Nope, that's fair. Yeah, if they win tonight and keep it going, then good on them. And it's a really nice story. Maybe give us something interesting in the next couple of days. But yeah, I'm sitting out on it as well. I believe now the next one up is my White Sox here. I guess really the main thing that I would say is that they are 79 and 80 right now, Jeff. It would be this is not gambling advice. This is just a jaded, frustrated, the most frustrating White Sox season I've had. It would be very poetic of them to win 2 out of 3 and finish 81 and 81 exactly at 500 the way they've gone all season long. So you've got Johnny Cueto on the mound tonight versus Bailey Ober. Cueto, not good his last time out. Hasn't been very good the last 3. So maybe if you're concerned, this is finally the time where he's regressed. I don't know. Kudos to him. Only 7-10 record, but 3.39 ERA. I mean, I can't say enough about how much he's helped this team throughout the entire season, whether it's innings or obviously huge starts or not. But any confidence either which way? Are you buying what I'm selling? Maybe take the White Sox in hopes that they go 500. Go with the win today, then you back off, and you're not going to try and split the next 2 days. I don't know.
Next game.
Fair enough. No, I like I said, that wasn't sound gambling advice at all. This team of at least half the team is essentially quit. So like I said, I firmly believe that this team will find a way to finish exactly 81 and 81 just because it's been that type of season. So
I believe you.
Yeah, 100%. It would be very fitting. I think the news officially the news was official today as far as Tony La Russa being retired. So, next game is a very good way to segue off of this one here. Phillies and Astros. Phillies need either a Brewers loss or 1 win to get things done, I do believe here. So they're in Houston. McCullers and Nola, I believe the Astros. They're locked in as far as the one. Yep, they are locked in. They've been locked in for a couple days now, at least here for the 1 seed. You believing in the Phillies, or the Astros gonna make it a little tough for them here these next 3 days?
I see an overnight number of 130. Obviously, it's down to 116. We've been creative first 5 team totals. But they need W's. So
yeah.
Even if you got a strong performance from Nola, what is the Phillies' weakest link? It's their back end. So it's almost real hard. McCullers, they're again just trying to get them into playoff form. And a team like Houston's so dangerous. They're just playing with house money, trying to stay healthy, for next week. Listen, if anyone wants to plus money on Phillies, I get it. I do get it. Just tread lightly. That's all.
Yeah, tread lightly. I think that's a fair word there for sure. Maybe I honestly, I'm staying away from it for today. And if things progress the next couple of days and it is more eye opening, then maybe I'll jump in. But I'm staying away from it for now. Let's see here. Next one up, only a few left. Angels and A's. Anything to see between these 2 teams? Patrick Sandoval, our guy Patrick Sandoval, and Adrian Martinez. One last time to believe in the guy, and maybe we take the run line and they lose 3-2 or win 3-2.
First 5 minus the hook. That's it. One more time.
He's got to be back on our list next year. Hopefully they make the right moves, and this guy could actually be profitable for us, for goodness sake, man. 3 left, Tigers and Mariners. Mariners minus 250. They got the job done. Like I said, I don't know what the numbers are, what they need to do to lock in that second wild card spot, but they've got Kirby on the mound tonight versus Brian Garcia for the Tigers. Anything to see out of that one?
I haven't said this question to you all year. I'm going to throw you the curveball. I'm going to say 4.5. What is Kirby's strikeout prop?
Kirby's strikeout prop. Let's see. Goodness gracious. That's 5.5 minus 135. 5.5 overs. Yeah, over 5.5 is minus 135. Excuse me.
I have not given one of these out all year. So I'm either going to end the year 0-1, or I'm going to drop the mic and have a 100% strikeout prop. I'm going over 5.5 strikeouts for Kirby.
Okay, I like it. Taking the swing at trying to go 100%. I love it. The strikeout props. I like them in the early seasons, but I don't know. I think I've just not found my footing with those. So I will let you take that one for sure. I like it though. The minus 135 there. That's a decent indicator, I would say. That Tigers offense is strikeout worthy for sure there. So. Giants and Padres. I know, again, I don't know what the numbers are, but I know they've got to at least do a little something to lock in that second wild card to not fall a little bit. Musgrove hosting Brabia for the Giants. Giants actually have been playing pretty damn scrappy the last week and a half or so. They are 80-79, finding themselves above 500 right now. Obviously not anything to play for other than pride, but any value on this scrappy Giants team right now, or is this wait and see and hopefully the Padres can take care of business?
Overnight number of 270, a corrected number of 195 at our friends at Circa. I do see a 205 at Westgate, a 210 with our friends at South Point. DraftKings, actually Caesars as high as 220 as we speak about the game. The line's moving again. People, they do listen here. Trust me, they do. Your initial thought is San Diego first 5. But again, the San Fran back end is not the greatest. I know it's only a 7.5, so I won't go first 5. I will say Padres run line tonight. I think what is a full game run line at? Probably minus 110, 115.
Let's see. I think the best number that I see here is minus 102. Let's see here. Minus 105 is fairly pretty much the consensus, though.
I'll go San Diego Padres full game run line minus the 1.5.
Okay, I like. I can back Musgrove having a nice night for sure in that one. So, Colorado and the Dodgers here tonight. This one is in LA. I believe the Rockies, the home team Rocks finished above 500. The road team Rockies certainly did not. You got Gonsolin for the Dodgers, 16-1 record versus Urena for the Rockies. Minus 350 for the Dodgers, 170 on the run line. Anything to see here between these two teams?
Yeah, you don't see. You look at the board and there's 7, 6.5, 7, 6.5, 7, 7. Everyone playing out the season here, and then you see an 8.5 here. Just a little pizza and beer money on over 8.5.
All righty, I can definitely get behind that one. Urena is definitely a hit or miss guy for sure. I could definitely see this one being in the miss column there. I believe that is, obviously we didn't touch on some of these meaningless games as much as we usually do, but anything else to see as far as the MLB is concerned, my friend?
No, I'm going to ask before we leave here. We'll each leave everyone with an NFL prop tonight. You have the stage first.
You're giving me the stage first. You know what? Like I said, I didn't go too deep into this one today. I've been going deeper, but I will give you something. I am interested. I'll keep it simple and go Jeff Wilson to get in the end zone plus 115. I think, nothing. I think that's second best odds. Maybe that's a little square as far as the running back. I could see him not having as much of an impact as people think. But I'll go square and say Jeff Wilson finds the end zone.
I, for some reason, was going to flock to my Superman guy, but I think that will be too easy in Debo. I'm not taking the negative money on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to stay away from that. Again, going to wait and see on Allen Robinson. I like when I do my NFL props, I'm a tight end guy. So what do I have for a number for George Kittle touchdown today?
Kittle, I'm a big Kittle guy. 195. His have been in that range where it's that 195. It's enticing, and if he gets going, then certainly that's got some value. I don't know. I've been staying away from him. He's been over the last couple of years. Obviously, health reasons haven't helped, but it hasn't been going well for me. But I would not be upset if you gave out some George Kittle action here.
Why not? George Kittle plus 195 today. Anytime.
I could see it. Allen Robinson 310. That's a little too good to be true as far as he is concerned, if you ask me there. But Cooper Kupp minus 110. Was getting the alerts. Got a couple different alerts of how many games in a row Cooper Kupp from sports books specifically. I've gotten updates as far as how many touchdowns Cooper Kupp has scored in all of their games recently. So I'll go and say this is the night Cooper Kupp is not going to get in the end zone. I'll come back and say that probably every time until he doesn't get in the end zone. But I'll say no. I'll say no Cooper Kupp touchdown here tonight. Finally, if I have egg on my face, I got egg on my face. Tough to bet on that, anyways. But no Cooper Kupp in the end zone tonight.
It's great to be back. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a double. Two guys in the studio. I haven't figured out. Oh, speak of the devil, I just got a text. So hold on. Breaking news. 9:50 tomorrow morning. Adam Trigger from Wager Talk will bless us. And the great sports handicapper. I don't want to say a great friend. We've connected and we've just never had him on the show. And he's texting me again. And what is Circa contest? Tonight's the last game. And the amazing story about this is Carmine from Wager Talk is leading.
Yeah.
And I think he's undefeated. Now, I got to go back and is it 20-0?
I didn't see after yesterday. I saw it was 15-0 leading into this week. I do follow Carmine, but I didn't see any update as far as this past weekend here.
So Carmine's guaranteed, I think, 105,000. And if the Niners win and he gets the whole thing at 150 or he gets 105. But who's chasing him but Adam Trigger? So I'm like, shit, nice. I'm going to get Adam on and we're going to connect. So I get Adam Trigger on at 9:50. And then at 10:20 is our weekly trip with Julian Edlow. And so I got a great hour tomorrow. And then I'll be back with Riley for the closing bell. We're going to really get back into shape. I just trying to get this office set up. And I think I'm going to have it set up for the weekend where I might just pull a card in there and end up sleeping.
Some good football action all weekend. Before we go, was there any bad survivor losses? I know probably not anything terrible, but what was the biggest survivor loss of the day?
Well, of course, the whole world was on the Packers.
Yeah.
So let me just go over that quickly.
And I was concerned. I was more concerned for you than I was for my own fan allegiances in that game yesterday.
Raiders win, Packers win. No one was on the Panthers. Chargers win. Bills, no one there. Maybe a few on the Steelers. I'd say very little. Eagles win. Maybe a couple on the Colts. Nothing there. The Browns. Cowboys was a big play for a lot of people. Yeah. Falcons, Browns, no. Viking, no. No, I think everyone was a survive in advance week.
Yeah. Seems like, I was going to say the Lions, but that was more of a public square play for sure there in that one. But, Lions is definitely playing with fire on any week there. I heard something, and I totally agree. They can lose to any team by 3 points. They could lose to the Eagles or the Chiefs by 3 points, or they could lose to Geno Smith and the Seahawks by 3 points. Doesn't matter. They're losing or winning by 3 points.
The funny thing is I have said this all along, that the Detroit Lions win at home are an auto overplay. Okay. So we're sitting there and I have DeAndre Swift. He gone. I have St. Brown. He gone. I have Chark. He gone. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can pick up Reynolds in a couple spots, and I didn't even in the teams that I got him. Wasn't even able to plug and play him.
Right.
But I have 0 shares of Hawkinson, who had almost 40 fantasy points there. The defense is just so bad. I mean, Gino looked like Gino Torretta from the Miami Hurricanes back in the day. I mean, he looked amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, whoever's going to be, it's Patriots are -3. I think it's in Foxborough, but Patriots -3 this upcoming week against the Lions. Does it matter who's quarterback for that line? Honest question. Does it matter who's quarterbacking?
I think people will buy the sizzle, meaning Patriots looked great. They had Hoyer all week practicing. Comes Zippa Zappa Zip, whatever you want to call his name, Frank Zappa for all I care. And I think it was 11 for 19. Don't forget their score was a pick 6. He did throw a nice touchdown to Devontae Parker. The Patriots shouldn't be favored over anyone, even though the defense played well. Don't forget Lions' first road game, getting 6.5 at Minnesota, and should have won that game outright. I was fortunate enough to pull that. There was a late Osborne touchdown to steal that one. So before you go run, and I don't know the injury report yet, I got more Q's on my sheets than alphabet soup. I mean, it's just, I'm telling everyone this that wants to listen. You keep adding games, you keep taking preseason off, this shit is going to happen. These guys are not going to go out and play hurt at the start of the season. The proof's in the pudding.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah, I can't really say much off of that. I think for both of those Lions and Patriots teams, I'm probably going to be backing them when they're in a nice underdog spot or whether it's underdog or undervalued spot, as opposed to coming off of a week where everyone's kind of buying the sizzle, like you said, with the Patriots. So I think I'm staying away from the Lions for the most part in general. They are. Which I have for the most part, but it's an interesting group over there, and they'll still be playing hard until week 18, whether they're 1-15 or 7-7, who knows? But it's going to be interesting going forward for those boys.
Actually, brain fart here. 3:30 Eastern time. Ron from Ron Ace Sports will be here, so I will go with Ron for about 45 minutes till about 4:15 my time. And then you and I will be on the airwaves right around 4:30, 3:30 your time.
Sounds good to me, my friend. I will be there.
All right. So from Jeff Dawson at DC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one, we wish everyone a blessed day. I haven't said this in a while, so let me see if I can remember this correctly. If you have a problem in wagering, please pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help! Why? Myself and Riley care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. Again, from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Have some fun today. It's the new day, new start of a week, okay? If you had a bad week last week, just pump the brakes. If you don't see anything you like, it's okay. Tuesday's right around the corner. The sun will come out tomorrow, trust me. Annie told me that. It does. So be smart out there. Have some fun, and we'll see you tomorrow.